tonight. It's the City Council meeting, Thursday, September the 14th. It is now right at 6:30. And I'd like to ask, please, if Ryan Miller, who is the new pastor at the Methodist Church on Main Street, would do the invocation, please.
Good evening, everyone. Before I do that, I do want to say it's funny. About 20 years ago, I moved here from Fort Worth, Texas, lived off of Tommy Lee Fuller when I first moved here, and was hanging out at Rudy's pretty much every night. And now 20 years later, here I am doing the invocation. God is amazing. So I just want to say this as well, that it's a long day, and if you haven't heard it today, I just want you to know that you are loved and appreciated. As a pastor of this community, I love you and appreciate you. More importantly, God loves you and appreciates you. Let us pray. Gracious, loving God, we ask boldly for what we need from you. Where there is frustration, we ask for peace. Where there is confusion, understanding. Make our agenda your agenda. Make our will your will. Humble us and center us. May we keep what is important to you important to us. And that is you and our families and our community and how we treat one another. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, Bill, you want to introduce the folks that's going to do the pledge?
Sure. At this time, I'd like to ask Loganville Christian Academy, the student government representatives, to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, on the roll call, all the council members are here, and that's a good thing. And now we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Before we adopt, I think I need to add, we don't have to add? Okay, never mind. Yes, second.
Okay. So we got a motion. Everybody okay? Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the agenda is adopted. And now we've got the honor of swearing in a new member of our LDA.
Well, let me-
Michael Lee, come on up front. Dana, where are you, Dana? Come on up, you can hold the Bible.
Let me make the motion.
Mayor, you need to approve the resolution for swearing in. Approve the resolution.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah, I'll
I make a motion that we approve the resolution to swear Michael Lee in.
Okay, make a motion.
I just did.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, you got it ready? Okay. Okay. I, Michael Lee. Do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will in all respects. Observe the provisions of the Constitution of the United States of America. State of Georgia. The charter and ordinances of the city of Loganville. And I will faithfully discharge the duties as a member of the Loganville Development Authority. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, we need a motion, if we could, to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The consent agenda is adopted. For those of you that have an agenda in your hand, you can see what was talked about on Monday night. what was approved and agreed upon by all of the council members, and we put that on what we call a consent agenda, instead of having to do homework and all that stuff 2 times. So that's the things that was approved unanimously on Monday night. Okay? And now we'll move to the first committee, Planning and Development Committee, Linda Dodd.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 cases that need to be heard tonight, so Robbie's making his way up to the podium, and we'll let him have it.
Should be on, right?
It wasn't. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first case before you this evening is case number R23-008. Jose Hurtado filed an application to rezone 5.1 acres located on 827 Lee Bird Road, map and parcel number LG100049 in Walton County. The property owner, the current zoning is O&I with a requested zoning of R44 for the purpose of residential zoning. The staff recommendation was for approval of the rezone, and the planning commission also recommended approval of the rezone with the added condition of no home-based businesses be allowed to operate from the property. At this time, I invite the applicant to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Pena, and I'm here on behalf of Jose Hurtado. He's the property owner of 827 Lee Bird Road. I'll just reiterate, we are requesting to rezone the home from commercial to residential R44. This zoning is more in line with the surrounding homes. Mr. Hurtado does not have any intention of using this property for commercial use. He intends to use this for his family. I will mention something that came up in the last meeting is that he currently owns a business which is registered under Gwinnett, and he is to remain with that business registered under Gwinnett. So he has no intention on moving this business here to Loganville. We have reviewed the City of Loganville comprehensive plans, and this home at Lee Bird Road is shown on the future land use map to be residential. So we believe that this is in line with Loganville's future plans, and I have a copy of this.
Okay, does the council have any questions?
Does the council have any questions?
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. Anybody else?
Okay. Would you like to make a motion?
So
Yes,
we're
sir.
gonna,
Go.
we're gonna open
No,
up the
we gotta
public hearing.
open it up.
Oh, yeah, we gotta have public input, absolutely, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, does anyone from the audience want to make any comments or say anything about this particular zoning?
Let's do it first, if we
Or
could.
speak in
Anyone
favor of
here
it?
who would like to speak against this rezoning? Okay, seeing none. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for this rezoning? Okay,
So I would like to make a comment or
Okay.
question. The condition that was placed for the condition for about the business, home-based business, is that something that you're comfortable with or not? I'm curious because, I mean, if I have a home, I don't know that I have to have a condition to do prevent a home-based business. Is that right? Sorry. Let me
Yes.
ask.
Yes, sir. We're comfortable with that. He doesn't have, I think that came about because this property was originally residential and then changed to commercial, and we just don't, I guess, the back and forth is probably why that condition was put in there, but we are okay with that.
You're okay with the condition?
Yes, sir.
I do have a question for perhaps Danny or Robbie. How enforceable is this? Because say they start an Etsy shop, how is anyone gonna know other than, I guess, when they would get a business license?
So I asked that same question to Robbie and Tim, but all business has to come through the planning and development for approval. So they would know when they look at the property and look at the conditions.
Well, going by there, because it's close to my house, I know that there have been work vans. I mean, they've done, the property's beautiful, painted, it's nice. There have been work vans, like contractor vans, et cetera. Does our residential zoning eliminate the ability for them to park those vans there?
Yeah, there would be no business parking there.
Okay.
What is his current existing business?
Trim, so trim work is
Okay.
what he does. Mhm. And that, the question or the comment, those were just there temporarily, and it was just for cosmetic work. The flooring was changed, and that's why there were vehicles there. So it was a temporary thing. We don't intend on having vehicles parked there.
I mean, I would be fine approving it without the conditions. It seems far-reaching and unenforceable to me.
Yeah, I do too. I agree with you on that end.
Now, let me just correct. Are you saying if he has a vehicle for his business, can it be parked there, or can you have business vehicles there?
I don't know if they were his business. I just noticed,
Okay.
because I go by there at least twice a day, that there were work contracting type vans while it was being painted, I think, but I didn't know what his business was. So I'm just making sure.
Yeah, I
if we-
believe if he has say, a van that has his business logo, he could park there.
Right.
But you couldn't store his
But not
business
10
equipment.
vehicles, right.
That's
All-
correct.
Yeah,
Is that correct, Robbie? Thank you.
yeah. I mean, I just, the condition doesn't make sense to me.
That's why I brought it up, correct?
Being fair, this is much more, it's zoned much better for the neighborhood this way than it was before. I think it's
Well, it was a
very
counseling
positive thing.
service. It was counseling service before. I don't think it was detrimental at all.
Well, that was a church.
That may have been a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion?
Okay, I make a motion that the council approves this rezoning to R44.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
With no conditions. I think we have to add
Yes,
that.
with the conditions that,
No conditions.
Take the
Oh.
condition off.
I'm sorry. Yes, take the condition off that,
Okay?
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Thank
Sure,
you.
thank you.
All right, the second case before you tonight is R23-009, Twin Lakes Road LLC, care of Mahaffey Pickens Tucker LLP, who filed an application to rezone 27.85 acres located at 3520 Atlanta Highway, map parcel number LG140020 in Walton County. The property owner is Twin Lakes Roads LLC, and the current zoning is PUV. The requested zoning is CH for the development of a contractor's office with outdoor storage of equipment and materials. Both the initial staff recommendation as well as a planning commission recommendation was for the approval of the rezone with the condition that no trucks over 6 wheels are permitted to use Twin Lakes Road pending the outcome of talks with the city's transportation department. After a meeting on September 5th with the applicant and representatives of the city's streets and highway department, the staff recommendation is to approve the rezone with the following conditions. 1, the prior issuance of a certificate of occupancy. The applicant will coordinate with the city of Loganville to perform a full-depth reclamation repair on the portion of Twin Lakes Road between the intersection of Tom Brewer Road and Twin Lakes Road and the entrance of the applicant's proposed development on Twin Lakes Road. The full-depth reclamation repair will generally consist of 8 inches of reclaimed subgrade, 2 inches of asphalt binder, and 2 inches of asphalt topping. The city of Loganville will pay for the materials needed to perform the full-depth reclamation repair in an amount not to exceed $100,000, and the applicant will donate the labor to perform the full-depth reclamation repair in the approximate amount of $135,000. 2, additionally, the applicant and the city of Loganville shall endeavor to enter into a separate parking agreement to allow the city of Loganville to use approximately 22,500 square foot area as a gravel parking area for patrons of West Walton Park in the approximate area shown on an applicant's revised site plan. Nothing contained in this condition shall create or be deemed to create any easements or use rights in the general public or constitute a public dedication for any public use whatsoever. If the applicant and the city of Loganville do not enter into a parking agreement, then the applicant's trucks with more than 6 wheels shall not be permitted to use Twin Lakes Road, except in the case of emergencies, between the hours of 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Mondays through Friday, and the hours of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays. And at this time, I'll invite the applicant to come forward.
Sorry. So the conditions are in here, but, so are you saying that if we come to an agreement, then they can use the 6 wheels anytime, and if they don't, then they're restricted?
That's correct.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Gabby Shaler. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. My address is 1550 North Brown Road, Suite 125 in Lawrenceville. The applicant is a family-owned business that has operated for generations in various locations across Georgia. Their mission is to build safe and modern highway systems while preserving the natural environment. Their training programs allow them to prioritize safety, the success of their employees, and quality work product. The applicant will use the property as a training facility for contractors with material storage and office space. The 20,000 square foot office space will be located off of Highway 78, and the equipment storage and training area will be located off Twin Lakes Road. As noted in the staff report, the proposed development is compatible with surrounding uses and conforms to the general character of the area. The use mix in the area is dominated by auto service centers and various office and commercial uses. The property is surrounded by parcels zoned CH, and the applicant intends to maintain a tree buffer along Twin Lakes Road to limit the visibility of the training facility and storage area of cars and pedestrians as much as possible. The property is located within the commercial character area on the future land use map. Additionally, the rezoning of this property is a good business decision for the city. The current PUV zoning on the property is for a large, high-density, mixed-use development that included a mix of 50 to 65 residential uses, including townhomes. We appreciate the opportunity to have worked with staff to come up with the mutually acceptable conditions that Robbie mentioned. The exact language of the applicant, he already read to you, but it's in the back of that packet if you need it. The applicant will repair Twin Lakes Road in the manner described in Condition 1 to address DOT's concern regarding the soundness of Twin Lakes Road, and Condition 2 states that the applicant agrees to lease a parking area through a separate agreement on the property to the city to use as overflow parking for West Walton Park. And I'll now turn it over to a representative for the company, Mark Schumacher. He'll talk to you a little bit more about the daily operations of the business. And at the end of his presentation, we respectfully request that you approve this application with the modified conditions, and we'll reserve the remainder of our time for questions and rebuttal. Thank you.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Mark Schumacher, and I am a Vice President and General Counsel at E.R. Snell Contractor. E.R. Snell Contractor is the parent company of Twin Lakes Road LLC, and E.R. Snell Contractor will be the company that will be using the property. Usually when I'm behind a podium, I'm talking about rules and regulations and putting my audience to sleep. But tonight, I get to tell you the story of E.R. Snell Contractor, a story of the company and a story of our vision for what we want to do with this piece of property and turning it into a first-class training facility. So first, a little history about E.R. Snell. It was formed in 1923 by G.F. Snell and Sons. Attorneys aren't good at math, but even I can tell that that means this year we're celebrating our 100th anniversary. G.F. Snell's ancestors were the founding fathers of Snellville, came over from England in the mid-1800s. G.F. was worked with stone, a stonemason, very instrumental in building walls, building culverts. Around 1923, you had the boom of the automobile industry, and the use of culverts and the use of walls became certainly vital to developing our roadways, and the business took off from there. GF was also the first mayor of Snellville, which coincidentally was also formed in 1923, so he was a busy man. His greatest achievement, though, probably was the fact that he had 12 children. And of that 12 children, he had multiple sons. They worked in the family business. And about 20 or so years later, his son E.R. Snell took over the business. The company was incorporated in the mid-1950s, and since the mid-1950s, we've gone under the name E.R. Snell Contractor for the past 70 years or so. We are a fifth-generation family business. Our current president, Scott Briscoe, is a fourth-generation family member. Our executive vice president, Jared Snell, is a fifth-generation family member. We have some teenagers in the mix that I'm sure at some point in time in the near future will be a sixth-generation family member as well. We are a leading highway contractor in the state of Georgia. Perform most of our work in Georgia, occasional work outside of Georgia. We build highways, we build bridges, we build structures. A lot of the construction that you'll see around the Atlanta metropolitan area on the roadways, we've probably had a hand in or are having a hand in it at the moment. We deal with a lot of GDOT type contracts, big, large state projects, also deal with county projects, as well as city projects. We also deal, in addition to the government projects, we also deal with a lot of private projects. A lot of the large Amazon facilities that you see around the area, we pave a lot of those. Very involved in that, certainly and around the Atlanta metropolitan area. We have several different divisions. Our asphalt paving division and road construction. We're building, creating roads where there are no roads. We're repaving roads that need repair. We're building bridges and other structures, dealing with grading. We also have multiple asphalt plants around Georgia where we sell asphalt to other contractors to use in different projects, sell asphalt that can be used in other projects around the Atlanta metropolitan area. Recently, we've been involved in some significant design build projects where we're also involved not just implementing a design, but in actually creating the design itself. And we're very excited about that future, and certainly this training facility is going to be a large role in helping us achieve success in that area. We're headquartered in Snellville, have approximately 900 to 950 employees, depending on the season, depending on the month, depending on the weather. We're very proud of our high school internship programs, training programs, very proud of our college internship and training programs. And again, this training facility is going to play a major role in helping us further develop those programs. Those programs are designed to help with the training, to give workers skills, both in the field and in the corporate world. So an overview of our training program to date. It was essentially created in 2015 with our then president, Robin Snell. Prior to that, really training for our company and really for the industry in whole is a lot of on-the-job type training. There aren't a lot of training facilities where you can have a centralized location where employees can go and learn skills outside of actually engaging in those skills on the job. Robin was fond of a story where he said that he learned essentially most of what he knows in the industry from riding along with his uncles. And that's what we sort of adopted. It's the knowledge that gets passed down from those who have been in this industry, those who are willing to be mentors to new employees, to new workers in the industry, and pass along their knowledge. So what we really want to do with this training facility is really have that intersection, that match, where we're taking experts, both in our company, experts that we bring in from outside of the company, and they go ahead and they basically share their knowledge. They share their skill set to a younger generation, a less experienced workforce. The goal is for it to be an informative, interactive, engaging, and fun process. We want people to want to engage in this training. We want them to want to be trained, to have these skills. We are able to go ahead and train. Our goal is train employees on various pieces of equipment, front loaders, excavators, bulldozers, motor graders, and cranes. Before I started at E.R. Snell, I had no idea what any of those really were. I probably know about at least half now at this point, so I'm learning as well. As part of the training and actually being on the equipment, we also, and I'll touch on this a little bit later in the presentation, but we're making use of simulators. So simulators inside an actual facility and not actually outside, where we can go ahead and, you can make your mistakes, you can learn your lessons sort of in a harmless environment on a piece of equipment inside as opposed to outside on the actual equipment itself. So our staff for this training facility, and we have some of them here tonight. Jay Sender, who is our Assistant Vice President, will be leading up the facility. Jay's been with us for almost 10 years now. He's got a lot of experience in the industry. He's a great teacher, a great instructor, a great people person who's able to connect with employees as they come in. Jake Slusher, who was recently brought on to our company. He's our field training director. He has significant experience in the school systems, significant experience in the high school programs, and being able to bring those who want to go from high school directly into a field, directly into a skill, rather than on to college, for example. Jackson Will, who's also here tonight, actually went through, if I'm not mistaken, some of our training programs, our internship programs when he was in college. Again, a great people skill, is learning our industry, is able to sort of connect with the type of employees that we're looking to go ahead and train in the facility. I'll mention tonight, we also have Mike Gray with us. Mike is Vice President at ER Snell. He's also a shareholder, so he's an owner of ER Snell. He has complete overview of this program, sort of under his umbrella as well. So what we've done is, obviously, we're starting from scratch here. So we have that advantage of being able to build the building from the ground floor up. Jay and his team have gone to different training facilities. I know they've gone to the Georgia Power training facility to sort of see how they do it. How is the industry developing here? How are they sort of positioning things? What they have in their training facilities? What are best practices that we can go ahead then and help incorporate into our training facility? We expect that for the most part, our primary hours operation facility will be 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, occasional Saturday courses. Now that's, just to clarify, that's not 7 a.m., 5 p.m. running large equipment outside. We're going to have a building at the north end of the facility, and then we'll have equipment primarily at the southern end of the facility. A lot of the training is going to happen in that building itself. So, at 7 a.m., we can be inside the building, going through simulators, going through other type of training. So that's not just the heavy equipment itself. We expect to have approximately 10 to 20 employees any given day in the facility itself, who will be both new hires and employees who are looking to gain additional skills. We're going to conduct our onboarding and our orientation. There we are. Conduct our onboarding and our orientation at the facility. Currently we run that out of Snellville. We think this would be the perfect opportunity to go ahead and run it out of the training facility itself. Our industry is an industry that has very high turnover. We hire approximately 750 employees a year. As you can see, our current head count's about 950. There's a large attrition rate in our industry just because of the nature of the type of work it is. And we're hoping to change that really with the facility itself and be able to teach skills where people feel empowered, where they have the ability to go ahead and build careers in these types of jobs. We're going to conduct our new employment paperwork there, our new sort of orientation training, and part of that will involve safety procedures. It will involve training on tools and equipment. We'll run some leadership seminars, really looking, again, to provide sort of a well-rounded training for those who are looking to get into the construction industry. So our simulators, this is something new for us. We just purchased a simulator this year, and as you can see in the picture up there, it's essentially a big chair where you have sort of the virtual reality world where you're able to go ahead and see in the screen in front of you. We're able to go ahead and put different pieces of equipment into the software. So essentially someone can learn to run a bulldozer, someone can learn to run a motor grader on the same piece of equipment. See what's in front of them. It's very realistic. We're definitely going to go ahead and have this in the facility. We're looking to purchase some more and fill the facility with it inside the building itself. It's, you know, certainly a very safe way of training. Again, it's a way to make a mistake, if you're going to make a mistake in a virtual world, to prevent yourself from making it on the job or outside with actual equipment where it's obviously much more dangerous. You know, we're going to have similar training which will involve the safety, pre-operation inspections, and really just sort of the best practices of how to operate equipment. Now, with respect to the heavy equipment, this would be on the southern portion, sort of below the dam area, which is where we would have our heavy equipment. This will be certified by, supervised by certified trainers that we have both in-house and that will bring in from outside to go ahead and help conduct training. Anticipating approximately 2 to 8 pieces of heavy equipment down on that land there, depending on the need, depending on what other projects we might have going on. Anticipating probably 3 to 4 days per week where we'd actually be outside running that heavy equipment between the hours of approximately 8:30 and really would stop it off at 4:30. Our driver training, you know, one of the most dangerous parts of our industry are certainly the large tractor trailers that are out on the highways. We need to make sure that our drivers are certified and trained. You know, we want to put the best out there to put the safest product out there. So there will be driver training at this facility as well, running through cones, all the different CDL type trainings that we need to do on a regular basis to make sure the drivers stay up to speed and date on the latest safety practices and procedures, so we can make sure that they're qualified and certified to continue driving. It's run primarily by J.J. Keller. J.J. Keller is an industry, well-known industry name when it comes to safety and driver training. They help us develop our curriculum to go ahead and implement out there. We'll have J.J. Keller professionals who may be involved as well, directly on site in some of that training. You know, and we'll also go ahead and really have, you know, our own CDL drivers. Again, it's that ride-along concept. It's those who have been doing this job for 25 years who can help sort of that younger generation, those newer drivers, learn the best practices. Probably driving a few times each month, again, ending probably about 4 p.m. or so each day. Our internship centers are going to be housed at these complexes. As I mentioned before, we have a high school program, we have a college program. It's really grown in the last few years. We have 90 interns over the past 2 years, and they are focusing on skills in the field. They're focusing on estimating inside a building. They're focusing on sort of corporate skills, all the skills that go into the construction industry, not just outside, it's inside as well. In particular, with respect to Loganville, we've had 2 Loganville high school interns that went through our 2021 program. They are now foremen, which are leaders in our company. A foreman runs a crew. They have employees who are under them. They went through the program, they've learned the skills, they paid their dues, and now they're able to be leaders in our company and help guide others. We currently also have 2 Loganville high school interns that are in our current program. That we're hoping take certainly a very similar path. We'll do certification programs here as well, and this is really bringing in outside professionals. We need certain OSHA certifications. These will mostly be done probably inside the building itself. So obviously some driver safety will be done outside. Different traffic control procedures, showing our flaggers where to stand, sort of setting up different scenarios. Again, safety is one of our, I shouldn't say one, probably our utmost concern. So we want to make sure that our employees, when they're out there on the highways, a very dangerous occupation, that they're trained appropriately and that they can be safe. You know, the investment we want to make here is, you know, to further build this program. This building will be a huge part of our training process and our training goals. It's going to help us realize what we started out with, you know, almost 10 years ago, in having this centralized location where those can learn the skills in a safe way, a safer way than sort of the on-the-job training, and in a more efficient way. You know, we're pleased to have found the property in Loganville. We looked really properties, and this is the one that really stuck with us as far as location, being in Loganville, the way the topography was set up, the way we could sort of be off the road. Again, we're going to have tree buffers around. You probably won't even be able to see the facility, certainly on the southern end, with respect to any equipment in there. Up top, you're going to be on 78. All you'll see is essentially, the building is similar to the other buildings that are up on 78. So we're excited about being in Loganville, and, really, Mike is fond of saying, when we talk about our assets, it's very easy to go out and buy equipment. We can go to a store and buy equipment. You might have to wait for a long time now, unfortunately, the way things are right now, but you can go out and do that. That's easy to do. What we can't buy are good, hardworking people, people who want to be in our industry, people who want to grow and develop careers in our industry. We really think that this is going to be a huge factor in helping us develop that. So I certainly want to thank staff for working with us. We've gone through the conditions. I think we've satisfied the concerns with respect to, our usage. Twin Lakes Road, the concern was obviously the fact that we have trucks that might come on there to go ahead and deposit equipment at the facility. We were concerned about the condition of the road, so I think it's a good compromise for us to go ahead and recondition that road and improve the stability of that road. And then to be able to provide the parking. I have not been to that park on the weekends, but what I'm told is it's jam-packed, and parking is certainly in a shortage there. So hopefully, and I anticipate no issues working out the city with a lease agreement with respect to being able to use the parking there. And if we weren't able to do that, again, which I don't anticipate will be a problem, the conditions with respect to our usage of it. What we didn't want is to have trucks on that road with cars parked on the side during the busy times. So that's why we have those time restrictions on there, so that we wouldn't have that situation. That's all I have. Certainly available to answer any questions. Anyone from ER Snell is available to answer any questions as well.
Real quick, how many parking spaces are you talking about?
I believe the way we engineered it, we're looking at about 64 different parking spots. We're looking at a large sort of gravel area. We're not going to go ahead and line it. It'll be a large gravel area that, can be open parking. But the 22,000 square feet, we calculated would be approximately 64 spots.
Any drawbacks that you know of that might prevent us from having that agreement?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I think
How about you, Dan? Good.
probably the reason we don't have it now is just because of timing. This came about last week, so we didn't have an opportunity to go ahead and formally get something in writing. We wanted to certainly run it by the council and work with staff on that. That's what we want. We want the city to be able to park there, and be able to use that road.
Well, that parking will be a blessing if all this is approved. Really will.
Well, I appreciate I enjoyed your presentation. You answered a lot of my questions in the presentation, and I appreciate your willingness to work to help us improve that area, I think everybody knows, I read your letter of intent for rezoning, and I'm a huge proponent of tree conservation and so forth. And in your letter, you stated that your development will include a tree conservation area, and you're going to maintain the existing lake on the property.
That's correct.
If you look at the piece of property, it's 27.85 acres. And there's a lot of trees there, and I know you'll have to clear them off to work with your equipment and everything. How much tree conservation I know you said you were going to have the buffer and the things. Do you plan on saving the trees around the lake? And how do you plan on saving the lake and anything that needs to be done to that?
Yeah, great questions. We've gone through and we've looked at the lake as part of our due diligence, and the dam itself is not in great condition. So we're going to have to go in and put a substantial sum in that to sort of build up that dam and make sure that it gets back up to the specs and the codes. I think there are some trees around there that unfortunately have grown into the dam, which are actually causing problems, so we may have to remove some of the trees around the dam. Part of the appeal of the property to us is it's just a beautiful piece of property, and the trees are an appeal to us, certainly, and the nature coming through. The hope would be that, we can have the building at the northern end of the property, and we can have sort of, small roads that come down so you can go past the trees, you can go past the dam, have a place where our employees can sort of walk at a walking path around the dam and, enjoy the beauty there, down to the southern portion. I don't know exactly, obviously, we'll have to do some clearing on there.
Right.
But, you know, our goal is to do minimal clearing, as minimal as possible. The goal is certainly not to turn this into a barren wasteland. It's really to enjoy the beauty and have our employees want to go to a nice facility like this.
Right. And I understand this is the first training facility you are building. It's your first one.
That's correct, that's correct. We've obviously been doing training. Most of the training has been on-the-job training. You know, we may have some employees go out to an existing job that we have equipment out there, and even though they're not working on that job, use it on that particular project. But this will be the first purely dedicated training facility that we will have.
And the fact that you hire 750 employees a year, we're going to be seeing a great number of people coming through your facility on a yearly basis.
Sure.
Right,
You
and,
know,
okay,
anticipating, you know, a lot of that is going to come on 78, you know,
Right.
already on 78 into the building there, to go ahead and, you know, be trained there. You know, our intent is to not make really great use of Twin Lakes Road. You know, our intent is to stay off Twin Lakes Road as much as possible. What we need is the ability to really just to deposit some equipment there, particularly in the event that we're not able to go around the lake because of wetlands issues. You know, we're very cognizant of that, and we need to work through those issues.
Right.
So, you know, this is really more a kind of a stopgap to be able to get in there, deposit equipment if necessary. But, you know, we're certainly not looking to make it a revolving situation where you have a lot of vehicles running along there.
and then again, to clarify, the heavy equipment, when you're training on that, that's not going to be 5 days a week. You were saying 3 or 4 days a week
Like 3 or
for
4 days a week.
about half a day, 2/3 of your day, or?
During select hours, you know, a few
Because-
hours each day.
Yeah, because some of the property, property that's zoned A1 that's right here, I know there's some homes there.
Sure.
But-
And we're looking to keep, obviously, we're not looking to sort of move our equipment right up against that
Right.
line there. We're gonna have that tree buffer there.
Okay.
And we're aware of that, and that's why we're sort of limiting our hours of operation, and they're sort of self-imposing it. And those are the typical hours that we'd work anyway, so it's certainly not a problem. It's not gonna be late-night training, anything like that. My understanding is the noise on the equipment, even the larger pieces of equipment, is more akin to maybe a motorcycle. I think Jay had pulled up a study that sort of showed sort of the level of noise there, and that's when it's constantly running. So I really truly believe and don't believe that there's going to be any sort of noise issues with respect to our use of the equipment in that southern portion, particularly where we're going to place it, which is as centralized as possible away from the residences.
Does anyone else have any other questions from the council? Okay.
Question?
Yeah, I've got a few questions too. So just starting off, just can you describe what the building, you've got the building and you know, the office space next to the property's been upgraded. The Loganville Auto Center's done some upgrades. What's the building gonna look like?
You know, we don't have set plans yet. We have the map, and I think you have sort of the site plan as far as the location of the building, which will be on the northern portion of the property near where 78 runs. I anticipate it'll be probably a 2-story building. My colleagues are,
16,000
Yeah.
square feet or so. We've been in communication with 3 different architectural firms, and all hands on zoning before we move forward with architectural design of the building.
A nice facility that, I mean, that's not looking at just a nice store on 78. To address your concerns, Councilman, a nice building, not a metal building that would be an eyesore, but, you know, similar to our corporate office with the over off Oak Road.
Okay, great. And then, so you mentioned the tree buffer along Twin Lakes, which we've got, you know, we've got not only all the people that park, but we've got trails that go connect West Walton to Meridian, so people are walking all the time and seeing. I did like to hear that, was one of my concerns. Another concern that I have is with the training yards, I guess we can say. You've got excavators shown. Thank you for bringing the presentation today, because we didn't have that before.
Sure.
You've got excavators and all. Are they planning to actually dig, you know, and things? And if so, how are you going to handle dust control and that type of thing around that area?
you know, there will be some digging, and Jay's probably in a better position to answer the specifics of that question.
Yes, sir.
Jay, why don't you come?
Yep, sure, great question. And very similar to the questions that we have to address with environmental compliance, whether it's at a plant or a job site. So we also have water trucks that we use water to control that dust. We're within, we're cognizant of silica standards and haul roads and visibility. So yeah, anytime that we have pieces of equipment running, we'll want to make sure that is watered as well. Yes, sir.
The access to Twin Lakes too is and I really appreciate you all coordinating with the city as far as determining, that rebuilding the road. I'm trying to figure out your access. One is you're saying you're going to if you access it, you're going to go from Twin Lakes down to Tom Brewer and then turn Tom Brewer to 78. Tough turn. There's cars always back up on Tom Brewer as well, but certainly going the other way to 81 is not easy at all. And I want to know why, just to ensure why you're not coming in off 81, and why we're not going to improve the entire road.
Yeah, our intent is not to use 81. Our intent is to come off of 78 and come down Tom Brewer. I think if you look at the condition, the roadway that we're improving, that portion of Twin Lakes is the path that we would use in order to access the property. So we'd come in off of 78, Tom Brewer, and then down to Twin Lakes to the entrance down there. You're exactly right, 81 is a tough turn there. There's not a light there. We don't intend to use the access route there on 81 up to Twin Lakes to access the property.
Okay. The equipment, you mentioned excavators, cranes, bulldozers. Are these specifically for training, or are you going to, I'm going to train with them for 3 days and I'm going to ship them out to a site? Are we going to be moving equipment routinely?
At this point, we haven't purchased equipment specifically for the facility. I think at some point we would like to have some equipment that's just permanently stationed there. But at this point, the equipment is used for production as well as training, and that's why we wanted to address some of that ingress egress with you tonight.
So the conditions that state, and I know it's a work in progress. What's stated in here is the modifications: the 8-inch reclaim base, 2 inches binder, and 2 inches topping. I get concerned when, that's more like a pavement structure for, most car vehicles, everyday traffic in a city. Any concern, or are we going to work through? How are we going to work through getting a pavement structure that's made for carrying these heavy equipment and making those turns?
We've gone ahead and we had our engineers look at it, and the specifications that were proposed in there are meant to help deal with these large trucks as well. They're sufficient for large vehicles coming through there. The reclamation process, we just purchased a company that was formerly known as the Miller Group, and they have a specialized process where they're able to go ahead and do this reclamation, this full depth reclamation. And it creates a stronger base than you would have otherwise in typical for the size that you're putting there on the base. So we've talked with our engineers. The specifications that we put in would be sufficient to handle those larger vehicles coming in.
I like getting advice from a lawyer. Thank you. Potentially, we will do an investigation on the pavement structure, and we'll probably have our engineer take a look and determine pavement structure.
Yeah, so if this is approved tonight, the next step for us would be to do a core of the base and see what needs, and submit their recommendation to our engineer, and then let them talk and come up with a final plan.
And go ahead, Ann.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Mike, can you bring up the site plan? Specifically, I have a question about the east side by the dam I need some clarification based on what you said. It's page 31 of the packet, if that helps. I had to take a picture and like,
Not a problem.
While he's bringing that up, can I ask a question? Do you mind?
sure, not at all.
Danny, in the Planning Commission's report, one of the questions was, what is the impact upon the provision of water, sewer, transportation, and other urban infrastructures? It says in here, it says the city cannot guarantee sewerage service, and it said that the applicant would likely work with the city. Has there been any development in that? Have we addressed that?
So sewer is not available in the area unless the applicant ran sewer. There is some issues. We did talk about it briefly with Mr. Briscoe and legal counsel. They're talking about potentially running sewer, but they would have to have upgrades to the Terra pump station, which they were informed. Staff is working with our engineer to see what upgrades that would require, because it's based on their flow, what they would generate, but we won't know that until we know the design of the building, square foot, how many bathrooms. At that time, we can get a calculation, and they would have to pay that share for the pump
Right.
station upgrade.
So potentially, they may be putting in septic tank.
They
out
could, yes, they legally could put in
Okay.
a septic tank because it's not within the area, but I believe, after speaking with Mr. Briscoe, that their intent is to do sewer.
That's correct. Our
Okay.
goal is to.
I just want to check, because it said that I just read that, and I didn't know if we'd come to a resolution on that. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ann.
No problem. Yeah, so yeah, that's perfect. Thank Mike. If you can bring up, actually, come down and it's the east side, which is the left-hand side of the screen for us. And zoom in right by the lake and the dam. So, yeah, oops, whoops, whoa. Whoa. Yeah. So I noticed, my concern was how you're going to get a road to the back with the lake where it is. And then I noticed that the road touches the property line, which means no setback. Is that right? Or would they have to get a variance for that? Given, I mean, I know that you guys build bridges, but you.
The road can be on the property line, correct, Tim?
Is that right?
That's correct.
But you opened the door, you said something about if you couldn't because of the wetlands. So my question is, have you looked at the wetlands? I mean, has that been looked at?
We've preliminarily looked at it. You know, we have to get through this phase
Sure.
first, really, before we can dig too deep into that.
Sure.
This is our aspiration. You know, what you see
Right.
there is our aspirational goal.
Hopes and
what we
dreams.
can do. Hopes
Right.
and dreams,
Got it.
exactly. You know, we're gonna need to work through the wetlands and process and see what we can and can't do realistically around the pond, in certain distances. And, you know, if we weren't able to go around the pond, then, you know, we would go ahead and access it from that Twin Lakes Road as far as depositing equipment and coming to the southern portion of it. We're hopeful, based on preliminary, what we've looked at in-house, we're hopeful that we'll be able to find a solution to that and be able to make that work. But until we get through this process and really start to dig in and talk with the wetlands authorities.
Well, no, I mean, I get it. There's no point in spending the money on all that until we get to that. It would be premature, but, I mean, it doesn't look to me, and I'm certainly not an engineer, that there's even room to build a road with where the dam is. So my concern, so part two of that is this. If you're going to have to bring in equipment back and forth onto Twin Lakes, which means you wouldn't be connecting all of your equipment, all of your six-wheeled, all of your heavy stuff is going to have to go up and down Twin Lakes regardless of any agreement for parking. Would that be right?
If there was, yeah, if we're not able to access, and we've got it upside down.
Yeah, it's upside down.
The northern part to the southern part.
Right.
Through an access there. Then, as far as bringing the training equipment in, yes, we would have to access it seemingly off of Twin Lakes Road at our entrance there in order to reach that southern portion of the property.
I mean, are y'all willing, I don't understand why we're willing to concede access to the road if we get parking. Either it's a good idea to have the six-wheeled trucks or not. So, I mean, are you willing to concede access to Twin Lakes for all heavy equipment and make it all go through 78?
You know, I don't know I think from a logistics standpoint, at some point in time, it's going to be easier to access that Twin Lakes Road and come in off that.
I agree with that.
You know, you know, it's just so uncertain as to what our ability is from the north to be able to go to the south on that. You know, I think that realistically, as far as the number of trucks that are going to be on there, you know, this is not going to be an everyday occurrence where we would have trucks on there. I don't think it's going to really impact the traffic flow more so than what's on that road currently, much more. You know, you're talking about probably at this point a few times a month where we might have a truck that needs to come in, tractor that needs to come in.
But what about the CDL? I mean, if you don't have access from the front to the back and you have to bring everything down Twin Lakes, so your CDL drivers, your trainees are going to drive CDL, big 18-wheelers up and down Twin Lakes?
No, no, no. The goal is not to use Twin Lakes as a training road.
Okay.
The property itself, you know, when we do our CDL training, you're talking about sort of almost a parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, the one down in between that has a CDL
Yes,
lot, so that,
yes.
yeah.
I mean,
okay.
you know, so you're dealing with, you know, a much more limited area.
Okay.
It's not gonna be where we are taking vehicles out and running them up and down Twin Lakes Road to go ahead and get that sort of training.
Right.
Probably do the training on the property, and quite frankly, when it comes to sort of on the job training, those are gonna be more on the highways as far as, you know, driving our trucks there. Our goal is not to overburden Twin Lakes Road.
Right.
Our goal is not to use Twin Lakes Road any more than we have to. Our goal is certainly not to use 81 any more than we would have to. Hopefully, we won't really use it all. We can come in off of just 78 and come down from there.
So if the wetlands did not give you access to the other end of the property, how would that change your site plan? I mean, obviously, you can still do walking trails because you can walk around the
We'd
dam,
have the
but,
walking trails, you know, it would probably eliminate, obviously, the sort of roads coming around there. Those roads are probably gonna be more walking trails than they would be actual roadways.
right,
You know, those would have to be probably eliminated or adjusted. And, you know, we would lose the ability to come in off of 78 and bring it down. We would
Sure.
have to rely more on Twin Lakes Road, obviously, to access there. But again, our envision is not to be running a large number of trucks back and forth.
and I believe you, I'm just asking,
Sure.
I mean, we have a lot of little kids on that road.
Sure.
You know, so, I just want to make sure that, I like your idea, and I love the idea of going around the lake, but, I mean, that road is on the property line on one side and on the lake on the other side.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know, and again, the drawing is sort
Sure.
of you give it to the engineer and you
Sure.
say, give us a conceptual drawing, and, you know, it may be left or right more than what's shown on there
Sure.
to sort of adjust for it. It really just depends on once we start digging in.
right. And the rear parking lot on the Twin Lakes side, that would be for the training yard, correct?
Down the southern
On the
portion,
bottom- on the
right there.
southern
Yeah,
side,
that
yeah.
would be for, you know, to park there for the training yard, to do some training down there with respect to vehicles, parking for vehicles, things like that.
Okay,
And again, that's more conceptual, just sort of showing
Sure.
that we would have parking down there.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just touched on my question there, and so if it's not on the map here currently, where would the gravel lot kind of be going?
There should be that I forwarded over to the city, a new plat which shows the gravel lot.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Siri's not happy. The gravel lot would be, it's in sort of the corner there. I don't know if we have the site plan that I forwarded over. I might actually have it.
And if so, with the tree buffer and everything, would it be overly obvious that people can park there? Or there'd be some kind of signage that would be required, like parking for Meridian Park?
Yeah, you know, we need to, I'll go ahead, I'll pass this around. This shows let's see, we're north here, south here. The park, I believe the park entrance is literally right here. So we put the parking area, sort of that square that's
Okay.
down there in that section there. I'm sorry, your question again?
So would it be, because I know we talked about tree buffers and all that, I just want to make sure that that parking area would be clearly indicated or marked that that is parking for Because we might get some people that still try and park on the streets if they don't know that they can park there.
Sure, and obviously the details of that get worked out with the
Comes
city
later
as
on.
far as signage and what will be there, but, our intent in offering the parking is to make sure that people are using the parking. And, I can't see us having any issue with respect to having a sign there, which makes it clear that this is parking for, overflow parking for the park, rather than parking along that roadway.
Thing right here, okay.
Okay?
Is that-
Is that all the questions from the council at this time?
Well, let me just ask something, because I would like for them very much to be able to conserve, to keep the lake. When we do this, is there any way that we can put a condition in there that if they end up deciding that they are going to have to fill in the lake or part of the lake, that they would have to come back to council to get that approved?
I mean, if you want to make a condition that the lake remain, you can make a condition that the lake remain, and then if they need to remove the lake later, they'll have to come back to you. I mean, you certainly have that, option. I mean, it sounds like their intent is to keep the lake.
Correct, I agree.
Well, if their intent is to keep the lake, and, then the simplest thing would be rezone it conditioned with your conditions and add that the existing lake is to remain, and it can't be drained or not kept in place absent them coming back and changing that condition.
I believe we'd be better off letting engineers work with engineers. We don't know. I don't.
Absolutely. I mean, we certainly don't know. I mean, they may need to change that lake. They may need to get rid of that lake. I don't know, but certainly is a usable condition if you wanted to use it.
I mean, they may need to dig it up and fill it back in, and dig it up, and fill it back in. It's part of the training.
There would be some intense training, I'm not sure.
You could put a bridge over it, couldn't you?
Oh, that's.
Yeah, that doesn't cost any amount of money, or that's cheap.
So as far as the upgrading of the pavement, I mean, we understand we're gonna do our research, we'll get cores, we'll get the pavement section, and what the city is saying is we're gonna pay for the materials as long as Snell takes care of putting in there. I was wondering if we just maybe need to broaden this approach a little bit and say we need to go from 78 to your intersection, because you've got that turning movement, that little section of Twin Lakes, or little section of Tom Brewer to 78, and, I don't know what that pavement structure is, so.
Yeah, that's not our concern. That road, the road that concern is a county road that we
Right,
don't
oh,
have
yeah,
no
it's a big
specs on,
concern.
which is, it's already failing currently.
Sure.
Um,
Well, it's
But-
core anyway.
Yeah. I will get with engineers because I know that's in the states right away, so we'll get with them and see, get a permit. I don't know if it's required a permit for that, but I will ask.
Just the first, yeah, right, I got you. Tom Brewer.
Hey, Danny, when it says that we'll pay the materials cost, do we pay it based on their cost? Like, we get their deal on it, right? We don't have to outsource that. We reimburse them? Because I'm sure they get great prices on materials for paving and roads.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be our current market value.
Yeah, that's something that I would have to talk with Paul, since it's over a certain amount, if it has to be bid legally. I'll have to check with that, because
I got
public works projects, I believe, is 100,000, so if it goes over 100,000, it has to be publicly bid.
Could they bid it as part of the work? I'm not trying to make you scratch your head over there. I mean, I would
think-
just like to get a great price on it, since that's their business, that's all.
I think for tonight, if we could just, if it, make it a condition, and then I think, once we have it engineered, we may have to come back, it may be more or less, we don't know.
No, I don't have to condition, I was just curious. I mean, I just want to get a great price.
Yes, it would, I would probably get
I want a
quotes,
coupon.
more or less, from different vendors. But, as you know, most people if I buy it from a different vendor, they're going through ER Snell to get it, because they're usually the provider for all.
Well, it just makes sense.
Yes. We can tell Mr. Briscoe to give us a 10% discount. Sorry, Scott.
I'll let you tell him that. I'm not.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
No, gotta
Yeah,
open
we
it.
gotta have that, yes, ma'am. Is there anyone here who would like to speak against this project? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this project? Yes, sir? If you would, come up to the mic, and we just need your name and your address, please.
My name is Jesse McConnell. We own the property adjacent to this complex that's we're looking at tonight. I'm very excited about it. I own the company, the McConnell Place that's there. We operate it. We've spent better part of 2 years remodeling that facility, and it's such a nice addition to the area that our engineers and our builder moved his office into one of the units there. So he was so pleased with the way it turned out. And we have modernized our area there between the property in question and the car dealership is a very nice attraction for the area. We've got wonderful tenants there. I've talked to every one of them. They are excited about what's taking place. For the last 2 or 3 years, I have been in the on the property, trying to control the way it looks. It was awful. We had 3 houses on that property that had fallen in. There's a barn back there that's falling in. It is an eyesore to the area. It's right across the street from the school. And that's not a very nice entrance for the high school to let it go like that. I've tried to keep it down the best I could. And when the property was sold and E.R. Snell got in there, what a difference it's made. It is so nice. I can't speak highly enough. I'm so pleased that they are coming in. I've had a conversation. They want to landscape and continue the landscaping on down to the next property to them. I just can't say enough about them. They're easy to work with, talk with. I've watched them all over the state. I watched them put in 441 through North Georgia. They're adding to 441. I've seen their plant on 441 towards Millersville. They're awesome. So I'm real pleased to have them as a neighbor. And I hope I can be the neighbor that they would like for me to be.
Very good.
I can't say enough.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. McConnell. Okay, is there anyone else?
Okay. Seeing that there's no more questions or no more comments, I'd like to make a motion that the council approve this with the conditions that have been outlined in the report that we got. And is there any other council members that want to add anything to it besides what we've already been presented? Or is everybody okay with what we've got here?
Is everybody good with what's in the report?
I just want to make sure I understand the conditions. If they don't share parking, they can run the trucks anytime they want. Is that backwards?
Yes, there's time limits if there's no parking.
There's time limits. Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. Then I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. All right, so I make a motion that we approve this with the
Okay.
conditions.
With conditions listed. We have a motion, second? Okay, and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, it is approved. Glad to have you in the community.
Good
I'll tell you-
presentation.
Personally, I'll be really disappointed if we don't get that parking for Twin Lakes. I mean, it's a nightmare on a Saturday morning.
And I would like to drive an excavator,
I got one of those you can drive.
not in the simulator.
Okay, Linda, anything else?
Okay, Mayor, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, very good. And we'll move on now to Finance Human Resource Committee, Ann Hunsinger.
No, sir, nothing for me.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Public Safety Committee. Jay Bowler.
Thank you, Mayor. As a reminder, Public Safety Day is September 28th, 5 to 7 p.m. on the Town Green. Look forward to seeing everybody there.
Are you going to tell everybody that you're going to be in the Duncan tank?
I will be for the third or fourth year in a row in the dunk tank.
I know these folks might come back if they knew that.
I encourage you to come out and give it your best shot. I will heckle you and splash you with water.
Yes, you do. That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Anything else? Is that it, Jay? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Public Utilities Transportation Committee, Bill Duvall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my items were included in the consent agenda. However, I'd like to talk about couple things. I did finally get some communication back from Georgia DOT about the report that was turned into the Transportation Management Center for the Publix at 78. Talked with them. They are ready to, looks like they're ready to get with Keckenwood and the city and see what's the next step. As explained to me, there weren't any major concerns, but that's positive at least. Did you hear anything else, Danny? So that's our next step. Once we can make sure we know if there's any conditions that they put on, then we can try to move forward with engineering for that, for that intersection.
Mainly talking about the traffic light as you exit public shopping.
Correct. Right.
Be great. We've needed it for a long time.
So that's getting close to,
How long have we been working on that? 3 years?
yep.
About that? Takes time.
And also for the council, just, last month we had the conversation with the Eleanor people, and I did go by and talk to them. I talked to 4 different residents. They have a planned meeting for this Sunday. They're going to try to get together and as a group at that point. I don't know that they've actually could come up with anything at this point, but at least they are going to meet. I told them to make sure they reach out to us between, once they've met, try to reach out to us before the October 9th. I mean, if they have questions or whatever. And certainly I went in multiple backyards as well, just like some of you all have. And, it's a difficult situation, but
Certainly is.
hope to see them get together. And that's all I have.
Thank you for the update. Okay, we have Public Works and Facilities. Melanie Long.
Thank you, Mayor. Our Public Works, Jeremy and the guys, they picked up 37.25 tons of chipping debris, the limbs and things. We've had a lot of storms lately. I've noticed a lot of people have had limbs down. And our Stormwater Department, they have picked up 365 pounds of trash and debris along our city streets. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. Move on to Economic Development. Brandon Whitfield.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no actual items tonight, but since Christie is here, would you mind telling us about the events coming up?
Hello, good evening, everyone. As Jay already told you, we have Public Safety Night coming up next Thursday. We will have our police and fire on our town green from 5 to 7, and you'll get free pizza for the first 100 attendees. And Jay and Brendan both have graciously volunteered to be in our dunk tank. So if Jay doesn't want to stay the whole time, then Brendan is going to take over.
You can stay the whole time if you want to.
So,
Y'all
but
work
tomorrow
out
night
still.
on our town green, we do have a Groovin' on the Green concert, 7:30 p.m. with the Blast Band. It's a party band. They play a wide variety of music, so we're real excited about having them here. It's the first time they're here, so come on out and join us. And then Saturday, October the 7th, we have our Back the Blue car show. October the 13th, we have our last Groovin' on the Green concert with Departure. And Saturday, October the 21st, we have our Fall Festival Autumn Fest. So if you are crafty or know someone that is, please send them our way. We are still accepting vendors for Autumn Fest until October 21st. Thank you.
Would you Would you mind speaking about the police 5K?
I do not have all the details about that. so
Oh, okay.
I do not.
The
plan to have
donut
it.
dash. Do you know the information on it, Jay?
I do not tonight, no, but we'll
Okay.
provide it as soon as it's available.
Yep. My bad. Yeah, so we did, the police are doing the donut dash again this year. It's the 5K. I believe you can find it on
Yeah, it's October 14th.
October 14th. It's a good event. Everything that's raised goes directly to the Walton County Special Olympics. So if you're a runner, please reach out and join up for the 5K. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. We'll move now to the city manager's report. Danny Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Just have nothing but to remind you all that October is combined council and work session on Thursday. That was at the council's request due to, I believe that's winter break or fall break, where they call it for Walton County. Yeah, Columbus Day, thank you. So October 3rd, that, whatever that Thursday is, October 12th will be a combined meeting. So if we do have zoning cases, again, it'll be on that night as well. So no Monday
We'll have
night.
Community feedback that night.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So work session, council meeting combined. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Danny. Move on to the city attorney, Paul Rosenthal.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, you did enough damage Monday night, didn't you?
That's right.
Okay, is there anything else from the council? Do we have a motion to adjourn? It's not hard to get that one. We got a motion to adjourn. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, got 6 seconds. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for everybody for being.